And really, here's the last part, you'll become a forgiving person. See, it's not just generosity financially that will come about when you're compelled by the grace of God. It's also forgiveness. Not just giving, it's forgiving. So that person in your life you just refuse to forgive, they wronged me, and maybe they did wrong you, but you know when it's easiest to not forgive people? It's easy for me to not forgive another person when I take myself out of the community of sinners. When I take myself out of the community of people who need God's grace, who need God's forgiveness. No, I'm pretty washed up, I'm pretty cleaned up. I would never do what they did because I'm immune from sin. I don't really need grace. When you are that kind of person, the perfect person, it's really easy to not forgive other people. But when you begin to realize I am a sinner in need of grace, that I could see myself doing those same things in those same shoes, you begin to empathize. All of a sudden, you become much more able to forgive because you become much more aware of your own need for forgiveness. Those people who realize that they have received great grace are the same people who realize they should release great grace. Those who have become recipients of great grace become great dispensers of forgiveness. But you've got to rejoice in, be compelled by the compassion and the grace of God. Not like Jonah. Jonah was sick. So your unforgiveness problem is a gospel problem. You refuse to see your own need for grace. That's exactly what Jonah was doing. I'm not a bad sinner like them. Okay, I don't do what they do. I'm not what they are. But what had Jonah done? Jonah looked God right in the eye and he said no. It's exactly the same thing Adam and Eve did. Adam and Eve, our first parents, the sinners that condemn the human race to hell, basically. What did they do? They told God no. Okay, they didn't have to stomp on a bunch of puppies to eat the fruit of the tree that they were not supposed to eat. They just said no. And nothing immoral about grabbing a piece of fruit and eating it. The only immoral part of that was that God said no and they did it anyway. And for a lot of us, it's the same thing. We're really washed up. Maybe we wouldn't do the terrible sins that other person did to us, but we have done some things. We've told God no. And a lot of times our sin is worse because we knew and we still told God no, whereas maybe they didn't have the knowledge. So the point is, we're sinners in need of grace, and when you realize that, you become gracious people. A spirit of unforgiveness and a lack of generosity is the indication that you are out of touch with the grace of God in your own life.